Hi guys, so today we're going to be building this quadcopter, and what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to build it. It's one of the easiest builds I've ever built because everything is basically prepared with this stack, and you'll see that in a little bit. And what I'm also going to be doing is showing you every single step to get it set up, from being bound to your modes, to your channels, to the Blheli software, to reverse your motors. I'm going to show you every single thing as people have been requesting for a while. So you're going to see the complete setup from zero all the way to fully configured and bound with arm, flip over after death setup, and all flip over after crash or whatever setup, and all that crazy good stuff. So enough talking, let's just jump to it. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be building a quadcopter, and I had no idea what to build for the longest time, but I've finally chosen some new components to test out. So let's get started. First things first, I really want to build this Dalrc frame for the longest time, and this one's kind of like a frog style in a way. It's really awesome, it's really thick, and it just looks absolutely phenomenal. You guys should see it once it's all put together. It just looks super crazy sexy. Alright, so that's one thing for frame. Now, for flight controller and stack, I'm using the new Flycolor X Tower. This is rated up to a 6S. It's a 45 amp stack. But what's so cool about this is it's cool and it's also not cool depending on the person. Now, this thing is just connects to the 4-in-1 ESC via connectors here. Not only that, they provide you with every single wire needed for just about everything. For example, here's the camera wire. It's perfectly fit in basically any default camera like a Foxeer run cam, and then you get the wire that's already pre-made. VTX, they do provide you with the new standard of VTX connectors, as you can tell right here. So all you got to do is just connect that into any VTX and then connect this part to your flight controller. Now, for the receiver, what we have is also the connector is pretty much done over here, as you can tell, but what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to cut this side. This is for S bus, and then one of these would be for I bus, and I'll show you that once we get there. But we're gonna remove these two wires, we're gonna cut these two wires, and we're gonna be using the XSR what is it called, receiver here for this setup. And that's really it. I mean, it's very simple. It comes with absolutely everything. I still have a bunch more wires in there, which is pretty crazy. And also they do provide you with the prepared Xt60 connector. And if we take a look at the box, they have a capacitor, and this is everything I still have in here. That's crazy. You can use this for a lot of other things. So depending on the camera, depending on many other things, which is really cool, which is really nice to have since you don't have any place to solder on this board here. They have wire prepared for the buzzer, for a spectrum, for what else do we have? LEDs. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And this stack is it's a brand new stack, so it's going to be pretty crazy, and it's rated up to 6S, so I'm curious to test this on a 4S. Now, for VTX, what I'm using is the Eachine TX80172 channel with smart audio. I think it was called smart audio. So this is up to 600 milliwatts, and I've never tested this. I've had it for the longest time, and I just recently found it, so I really want to go ahead and test this guy out. It's a pretty cheap little guy too. I do like this form factor, especially for this setup, because I'm going to use double-sided tape to stick it to the top of the frame inside. So that's one thing here. Camera, I'm going to be using this Foxeer. I just found it laying around. So it's a HS1177 type camera. It's kind of like the older version, but it's an updated version in a way, because the side casing, I think it's metal or some really good plastic, because these tend to strip out. So this is going to be good for this quadcopter here. What else do we have? The motors. The motors are very important. So lately I've been really liking 2206 and up motors with high kV. And I got these iFlight Tachyon Motors. I got them from iFlight. They actually sent these to me. They asked me if I wanted to review a motor, and I really didn't feel like it. But then I saw they had a 2207 2650, which the camera is not wanting to focus on for some reason. Let's see if we can get it focused. There we go. So these are the Tachyon 2207 2650 kV motors. They look really nice, especially on this frame. I have no idea how they're going to perform, but if it's as rated, it should perform really good. And what do I mean by really good? I really want to compare them against the the new Emax 2206 2700 kV and the T motors that I flew, the 2600 kV, the Pro V2s, to know if this performs like a premium motor or not. So that's what I want to do here. So enough talking. Let me prepare everything and let's just get started. Alright guys, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and prepare the ESC. That's the first thing we were going to do. And for soldering iron, I'm going to be using the TS 100 here. This is what I've been using lately, and it's just been absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to set it up to 400 degrees Celsius, and let's just get started. So first things first, what you want to take note of with this setup here is find the arrow, and the arrow is up here. So this says this is the front of the quadcopter, and if you take a closer look, you can see motor 1, motor 2, motor 3, motor 4, which is perfect Betaflight orientation. This way we don't have to play with the Betaflight resource remapping or the wire that's connecting the ESC to the flight controller. So something you need to also take note with this ESC here is you can see those holes. Now if you keep holding the solder iron on there for too long, it'll drop to the bottom side. So you got to be very careful and pretty quick. So we're just going to heat it up here, add a little solder, and then move. And some of it already dropped to the other side. Now I wish the pads were a little slightly larger here. It'll give us a better connection with the wires. And there's a lot of components that are super close to the pads here. So you got to be very careful. So that's something that's very important. And always keep cleaning the tip. So yeah, the tip of the soldering iron. So we went ahead and finished up that side. Let's go ahead and do this side also. So I'm just moving the wires here a little bit. The board's getting a little bit too toasty for my liking, but it's going to be fine. So here we go. As you can tell, you see how flat it goes? That's because it's dropping to the other side. I really hate that. I really hate setups like that. Because sometimes you could just sit there for hours adding solder, and the next thing you know, it's on the other side. So what I like to do also, once this is set up, take a look at the back side. So let's go ahead and take a look at the back side here. And as you can tell, some of it has already dropped through the bottom there. So what I like to do is I just come back, hold it upside down, and just re-hit it, and then it'll fall back to the other side. So that's what I like to do, just like so. There we go. Be careful because the MOSFETs are on the back side. I wish the MOSFETs were on the other side. It would make our lives a little bit easier. This side's a little bit better, but some of them have dropped. Be very careful and move very slowly, not to touch anything. Because, you know, someone might have like touched something and then start complaining, oh, it's a piece of crap, I got it, and, you know, didn't work from the beginning. Well, you know, you gotta just think twice here. So let's go ahead and start installing the motor wires here. I'm gonna go ahead and install them straightforward. I will be doing the Betaflight and Blheli with this quad, I promise you, because many of you have asked for that, and I've just not been doing that. So let's go ahead and set this up. Now I recommend you grab some kind of a tweezers or something to hold it with, because the wire can get pretty toasty, and if you let go and it has some solder on it that's already melted, you know, the wire could move and boom, you bridge something, and you won't know how the hell you just won't know how to fix that. You know, not even me. There's some things that if they were to bridge, you know, it's the board's going to be basically ruined. I really do not like the pads on this at all. Which is, you know, the holes are just sucking the solder right through. So that's one thing I am really not a big fan of at the current moment in time. Sorry about that. You have to be very careful with the components over there. So there we go. I really don't like how it's coming out at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the wire very firmly with the soldering iron, and then keep the let me show you how I'm going to do this, and keep the tweezers right next to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply pressure, make sure the wire is not going to go anywhere, add solder, keep the pressure with the soldering iron, and then quickly grab my tweezers there. So this way I can get a better connection. So just like that, and then quickly try to come here as quick as possible and keep that held into place. That can give us an overall better connection than we had previously. And this technique, I usually do it often on specific things. So let's go ahead and do the others now. All right. So make sure it's in there. I love that sound. Sound usually means you're doing something right. So, and again, with the same thing with this, because of the holes on the CSC, which are really annoying. Flycolor, if you're watching this, please reconsider those holes. So you see that I just kept the, it's not always perfect, but it gets the job done. Let's take a look at the bottom side. We're good on the bottom side. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to skip the rest of the motors because it's just going to be the same thing all around. And we're going to set this up very nicely. Let's just push these wires in. There we go. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do with those later. There we go. Alright, so I'll add some tape and stuff. Alright guys, so that's basically done. This is going to be, I think, the hardest part of the build, to be honest, because everything else is pretty much pre-made for us. So let's take a look at this. The only thing left for us to solder is the VTX, the receiver, believe it or not. So let's take a look. What do I mean by that? Well, camera is done. It's basically ready for us. They provided this for us, which connects directly into the flight controller. So that's done with. VTX comes with the wire. That's completely done. The signals from the ESC to the flight controller, there it is, basically finished. What else do we have? Just the receiver. That's it. That's all we need left. This is crazy. So let's go ahead and prepare the receiver. Now, the receiver does come with this thing. However, the wires that they come with the X4 are not really silicone, and they're really stiff, and I don't like them. But since we have this option, this is what I'm going to use. And let me show you how I'm going to do this. So as we can tell here, you have these three together. So they're assuming out of the box that you're going to be using FrSKy inverted S-bus. So the white wire is going to be S-bus, red is 5 volt, and black is the ground. And then we have these other two for I-bus and just if you're going to use some kind of a smart port for telemetry. So I think it's the blue one here for I-bus here. So what we're going to do is we're going to need to remove these two. We can either cut them off or we can grab some type of tweezers and we could just go ahead and remove them. So let's just get it in focus. Okay. And you just go ahead and grab one of these little plastic thingies, pull it up, then just pull the wire out. And then same thing for this guy. And save these silicone wires. They come really handy sometimes. So there we go. We have that set up. All right. So now next step is to cut this wire here. So let's go ahead and cut this wire. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and prepare the wires. So I'm just going to strip them. So the white wire is going to be for S-bus, black wire is going to be for ground, and red wire is going to be for 5 volt. Now something to take note of with this setup here. Now if you use the provided connectors, what you're doing is you're giving 12 volt for the camera and also 12 volt for the VTX. So if you had a crappy battery and it were to voltage sag quite a bit, then you might get a blackout. And you might want to change out the VTX to VBAT, and we'll see how well that's going to prove to be in the field. So let's go ahead and prepare the wires here. And what I like to do is I just like to have this, hanging out in the air right here. So let me just bend it down so you guys can see a little bit what I'm doing. And I just bring the wires one by one and add a little solder to them. Oh, okay. So the soldering iron went into standby mode, which I really, really like. And it's really good. It's very safe. So it's just heating back up because it was in standby mode. In standby mode, it'll just drop the temperature down until it feels you that you have moved the soldering iron, and then it'll start again heating up. There we go. All right, so you might say, how the heck are you going to connect this to that? Well, simple. If you take a look here, this is the connector, and they do provide you with the connector, but if you take a look back here, they give you big enough paths to just solder wires to. So we have the top one, which is S-bus, and then 5 volt and ground, which are the bottom two. So what I like to do is I'm just going to add some solder on them over here. So this would be S-bus. The first top one would be S-bus here. Okay. And then these two, just to freshen them up. And it'll make our life a lot easier to add the solder to. Okay. Go ahead and just double check this. All right. So it has some flux on there. You got to take that into consideration also. So now I'm just going to go ahead and twist the wire here. And it's silicone, so it'll stay in its place here like this. And now I'm just going to trim some of these wires off. Trim some of these. They're a little bit too long here. All right, so that's trimmed up. Now let's go ahead and solder these guys. So I'm going to start with S-Bus, which, as you can tell from the writing, it's all the way up top. So it's going to be the white wire here. I'm going to set this up like this so it doesn't move. And then we're going to go ahead and solder this guy in. Okay, that's perfect. And then on the one before the last one is going to be 5 volt. Let me just double check because I can't see from here. Which is, okay, so this is going to be ground, and then this is going to be 5 volt. So let's go ahead and set that up. So we're going to need the red wire, which is 5 volt. We're going to keep the ground for last. Or actually, we're going to set up the ground first. It'll be easier since I'm right-handed. Move. There we go. Should have trimmed the black wire a little bit more. Can't see from this far, so I'm just double checking. Right, there we go. Okay, perfect. And then also just double check because it's really far away from me. All right. And what I'd recommend we do also is to double check if we bridge the ground in the 5 volt, and we can check that. I'll show you how to check that right now. All right, let me just double check this guy. So it seems good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and grab my multimeter here. Just double check everything. I'm just going to check the 5 volt with the ground. All right. And put it into continuity mode or beep mode. Okay, it's where you put these guys together. I'm just going to touch 5 volt and ground. We'll do that from the connector here. So there is the ground. And there's the 5 volt. Okay, that's perfect. I'm just double checking it's working. So yeah, we didn't bridge anything. Everything should be fine. And now we could just ignore this connector. So I did find from an a couple of ESCs that I got, clear heat shrink. And we're going to go ahead and use that. Even though it has some kind of conformal coating, I just don't trust it. So I'm just going to leave it like this. It's really nice. I can see the LED. And that's it. We just start putting it together now. So let's just go ahead and do it. So let's just drop in the flight controller. Where's the arrow? We have to find the arrow. So there's the arrow. So that's forward. This way is going to be forward. We're just going to drop that in like so. Add the little standoffs. We can add that in a little bit actually. So let's just get our connectors. So this is the VTX connector. And the VTX connector is going to go, let's do it like so. Let's take a look at this. The VTX connector is going to be on the bottom here. On the bottom side. There we go. Okay, so I had that in wrong. So here's our VTX. We basically set it up. It's on the bottom there. Now we're going to go ahead and grab our camera wire. We'll grab this side. And it's going to be this one here. And it does say camera. It's very hard to see. It'll tell you camera and then it says video, the bottom one. So that's set and done. Now where's our receiver? Receiver is going to go right here. And what's left? I think that's it. Yeah, I think we're done. Am I putting this wrong? They're really tight fit, so that's really nice. They're not going to be coming out anytime soon. So yeah, that's really it. I mean, it's really that simple. So I'm just going to put it in real quick. All right, and now I'm just going to add the little nylon nuts into place. So here's one of them. And they do provide you with almost everything you really need, which is really nice. I'm not going to be putting a low ASR capacitor just yet because I want to see how it performs in a real world scenario, which is flight. So let's put these guys in place here. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab the camera and stick it inside the frame. I need to go find some M2 screws because I don't know where I put the screws for that camera. Where did I take it off from? Probably took it off a while ago from something else so I could do some kind of testing or latency testing. All right. So it does come soft mounted, which is really nice. Where did the guy go? There he is. And the only thing I really currently that don't like about this whole setup are the holes on the ESC pads, and I don't like how close things are to the ESC the ESC phase pads here. It's really close and it's really scary. And I did have one of the wires actually go loose and then touch, you know, the ESC down there, but luckily I didn't. It just didn't splatter anywhere because I double checked it with the microscope here. So I'm very thankful that didn't happen, because that's a huge mess. It'll be even difficult for me to clean that up. So yeah, imagine somebody new. That's just going to be a nightmare. So just be very careful with those. All right, so let's just kind of just arrange them a little bit for now. Then later on we could set these guys up correctly and make them look nice and pretty. So there we go. So that's pretty decent. All right, so what I'm going to do next now is I'm going to go ahead and just put the camera in here, and I'll be right back once I do that. All right, guys, so the camera's in place, and I'm going to leave a link to these M2 screws that I use. They're really good. The time that they really come in handy is when you strip the casing from the, you know, like the normal cheap ones. Where is one? Right here. When these screws strip this kind of casing, they come in handy. Like this one is stripped here, so I use these. I'll leave a link to them down below. You just use the smallest one in that pack. All right, so the camera's in. Let's go ahead and grab the camera wire. I don't know why the camera wire is all the way in the back here. So it's going to be this top one. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it. And as you can tell, it's a huge connector. And how am I connecting 3? Well, they made them perfectly sized. And be careful how you connect them. Make sure you connect them on the correct side. And they are labeled on the camera. You'll see that right now. So let's take a look here. As you can see, it says VCC ground video, and that's what's really going on. But why is it white? Anyways, that's what they did. Who cares? All right, so that's set and done. That's going to be perfect. All right, beautiful. Now I'm going to go ahead and grab my VTX, which is right here, and I'm going to add double-sided tape to this side right here. So let's go ahead and do that. I should have prepared double-sided tape before, but it's fine. There it is. All right, that's awesome. Perfect. So let's go ahead and grab this guy. This double-sided tape is just really insane. So what I'm going to do is I usually cover this side so I don't risk it hitting the frame and grounding and causing me shorts. Not shorts, just, you know, noise in the FPV video feed, because you can get noise through that. And it's happened to me before, and I'm sure it's happened to others also. So let's just use this cutter right here to cut this guy. There we go. All right, awesome. And I'm going to stick this guy on the top. That's what I usually do. It's this thing just holds incredibly well, unless I'm in like negative weather, like -1 Celsius, -2. Once it gets really cold, then everything just starts actually acting weird, not just this. There we go. Now let's grab this guy, and I'm gonna put him right to the edge. Yeah, there we go. That's where I put him, like right there. All right, so that's gonna be held into place very well. And then we just get our VTX connector here, make sure it's correct. All right, so it's just proven to be a little bit, it's not difficult, it's just don't have a good grab on it because of the wire. There we go. All right, so that's set and done. Now I'm just gonna heat shrink, and we're basically, are we done really? That was so fast. Well, it's really good. So now we're gonna do the Betaflight configuration. So let me go ahead and just heat this up real quick. We're gonna shrink the heat shrink. It's so satisfying to watch this stuff. All right. So come on, Mr. Heat Shrink. There we go. Okay. So theoretically, you don't need heat shrink. That's why they send it with conformal coating. I think it's cheaper for them, but it's really, I don't like that, because, you know, we're placing it against carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is, you know, it's pretty strong material, so it'll rip through that conformal coating. So yeah, I mean, it rips through Gorilla Glass, which has happened to a couple of my phones before. So what am I going to do with this guy? I think I'm going to just put the antennas through there for now, and then also use probably double-sided tape to hold it up there. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to place it up there. Oh no, I'm going to keep the bind button available, so I don't have to short circuit anything again, because that usually does happen to me when I go to bind it, because I'm lazy to take off the top plate usually. I just end up ruining it basically. So where's the bind button here? We need to make it visible. There it is. So I'm going to push this back a little bit more. There's the bind button now. It's going to be right there for me. All right. So let's go ahead and grab some tape. Double-sided tape to be exact. I'm just going to add it like this here. Just here. So I keep the bind button exposed there. And that's going to be a nice quad. By the way, I might sell this one just to keep the channel afloat. And it'll be really nice for somebody. So I'll probably put it on the website. I'll let you guys know after I test it, after I make sure it's running great before doing that. So let's put the antennas through, figure out something for the antennas later. Okay, make sure the bind button is going to be visible. That's really important. Okay, there we go. The bind button is available. It's right there, over there. So that's perfect. And it's pretty clean actually. Look at this. This is gorgeous. This is really nice. Oh my goodness, I'm in love here. Alright, so we got our antennas, we got our VTX. So now let's just go ahead and finish it up here. And then we're going to connect it to Betaflight. And I'll show you the process of the way I go about doing it. And let me just put these screws in. And then I'll be right back right after, so I don't waste any of you guys' time. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and done that. So the first step, what I like to do always is I like to see if my receiver boots up via USB connection. That's what we're going to test right now. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my USB here and I'm going to connect it. And if I see the LEDs on the receiver, then I know that it's working. So yeah, I could totally see the receiver blinking. I just saw it blink. So that's really good. And just to double check here. Yep, there we go. So that's perfect. I don't know how it's binding. It's not supposed to be doing that, but yeah, that's fine. All right, so that's one thing. Now let's go ahead and grab our transmitter. I'm going to be using the QX7S here, but they're all basically the same. So first we want to go ahead and go create a new model. There we go. I don't use this one much. I use my Horus. All right, so once we create a new model, it's obviously selected it because it has the star there. So let's go back and we're going to go ahead and click page. Oh, sorry. Menu, and then we're going to go ahead and click page. Now what I like to do, instead of scrolling all the way down here, I'd really recommend you set a model name. If you have more than one quad, it's really recommended. If you only have one, it doesn't really matter, but it's a nice habit to get into. So instead of scrolling down, I like to just scroll backwards, and then it goes to the bottom, and then we can go to mode D16. Yeah, we keep it D16, channel 1 through 16, that's fine. D8 is faster. Where is it? D8 is faster, so if you wanted it, not by much, but it's faster. And now we're going to go ahead and set up, click bind here. So now it's in bind mode. It should make this chirping noise if you could hear it. There we go. So now that's being set up. Let's go ahead and grab this one. And there's two ways to do this. Right now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go ahead and grab my, there we go. I know I've clicked it because I could hear it, and I'm just going to plug in my, there we go. So my receiver is flashing, as you can tell. That means it's going to be in bind mode. So I know it's bound now. So what I have to do is I come back here, press exit. There we go. And then I'm going to unplug this guy and then plug it back in. And we should see a green light. There's a green light. I can totally see it there. So that's bound now. 100% certain. I wonder if the RSSI will pick up. Let's see. If you go to RNG, which is range, yeah, there we go. See, you can see that. Not always. It doesn't always work, depending on your thing, but there we go. Now we know we're bound here. So if I unplug this, see, so it's bound here. That's perfect. All right, so now let's go ahead and jump into Betaflight. Before you do that, sometimes your quad might, the orientation of your flight controller, you don't know. This is a very important step. Have the quad face away from you like this, and then go ahead and plug it into Betaflight before you do that. There we go, just like that. So let's go ahead and jump into Betaflight now. Alright guys, so now the quadcopter is connected to the PC, and we can already see COM15. So let's go ahead and connect here. So we have connected. Now remember when I told you make sure you take note of keep the quad facing away from you? The reason for that is so you can pick up the quad and move it around and make sure it's moving accordingly. So the arrow is forward and I'm moving it forward. So that's the first step here. You can go ahead and calibrate it if you want. However, I'm just going to skip calibrating because the table is not leveled here. So you can calibrate accelerometer, you'll be totally fine. Next thing you want to do is you want to go to the ports tab. But right now, I'm pretty sure it's already set up on UART3, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. So let's go to configuration here. And we're going to have to change this. Now, I don't remember if they were Blheli 32 or was it a Blheli S ESC. No, they're 32 ESC. So if yours is a Blheli S ESC, then you would go to D-Shot 600. However, mine is a Blheli 32, which is D-Shot 1200. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up. Motor stop, keep that disabled. What that means is when you boot up your quadcopter, when it's disabled, when you boot, you arm your quadcopter, the motors will start spinning. Now, if you have this like this, they won't spin. You don't know if it's armed. You accidentally hit the throttle and you just cut your face off. So yeah, keep that off. There we go. Here, just leave it as is, and yeah, it will be totally fine. However, I'm gonna keep mine 8K, 4K. Barometer disabled. There's no need. Accelerometer, just keep it. These we don't have to deal with since everything is perfect. And we're gonna go down. I'm gonna set up a craft's name, so I'm gonna call it the Flycolor X stack. So I know in DVR footage what I'm watching when I go back and check it out. Okay, so we set that up. Camera angle, no need. So here we go. So now we're using the serial, we're using S-Bus, FrSKy S-Bus. So what you have to go is serial based receivers. Okay, and even if you're using iBus, you would have to select that. But some you might have your just default like this, and you'd be like, oh, no, where do I get that? So once you click serial based receivers, okay, whether it's iBus or S-Bus, you get this option down here. And what we're using is we're using S-Bus. Now, if you're using iBus, you just go to iBus. If you're using anything else, you know where to go. So we're using S-Bus, and then this part is very important. What I do is, obviously, we have no LED strip, we have no telemetry, and air mode is very important, because if you're flying and you let go of the throttle to basically just hover or whatever, or to hover upside down, if you don't have air mode on, then you kind of your quadcopter kind of loses its position. With air mode, it'll stay on that exact position that you left it. So keep that on. OSD on. You can turn on dynamic filter and anti-gravity. You can play with these. You'll be totally fine here, and everything else looks okay. So okay, that's nice. All right, so what we want to do is go ahead and save and reboot here. Okay, and we're just gonna go ahead and reconnect. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and check the ports tab. So it's on UART3 serial RX. So wherever UART, for example, if you put your iBus on RX1, you would enable serial RX. This is what means this is your receiver. This is for your receiver. Make sure everything else is disabled. So for us, it's on UART3, and I read the manual. So this is UART3 is the inverted for our S-Bus. iBus, you'd have to use anything other than the S-Bus that was stated on this flight controller. So yeah, so we're gonna be totally fine there. Save and reboot. Okay, hopefully totally fine there. Let's just double check it now. Now we want to go ahead and go to the receivers tab. Now there's a really important step in the receivers tab here, and I'll show you that right now. Okay, so do I have? Okay, so it's supposed to be bound. Okay, so obviously there's something wrong here. So I'm guessing that the ports, the UART3 is not for S-Bus. So what I'm going to do, I don't know. So I'm going to go ahead and just select UART1, come back and check the receivers tab. But you have to make sure you're bound to your receiver first, obviously. Yeah, you see that? It was wrong. So it was UART1. So UART1 is for S-Bus. Now let's take a look here. Now this is really important. This is what I wanted to show you. So I'm actually pushing the throttle here, and look what's moving. It's pitch. Why is it doing that? So you really have to take note of this while you're setting it up. So this I'm actually just moving the throttle on my QX7. Well, it's because of the channel map. I have mine set to AETR or AE. We'll see it right now. But double check this before, and if it's wrong like this, then you're gonna have to go here and just say default AETER. And if we click save now, and if I move the throttle, look, the throttle moves perfect. If I yaw, the yaw is moving. Now I'm gonna pitch. The pitch is moving perfect. Roll is moving perfect. Now we're gonna go to the modes. I'll show you how to set those up also on the QX7 just now in a little bit. So what I like to do is I like to go to the arm. I'll set it to the first channel, okay, or auxiliary 1, and I'll set it like this. So once I click it, it'll go there. And then I also like to set up angle mode, and I'm gonna set that on 2, channel 2. and we're going to keep it like this. So what happens here on this channel, it's going to be a 3-position switch. So when it's on default, right when you boot up the receiver transmitter, it'll be set to angle mode, and then once I click it once, it'll basically go into acro mode. All these, wherever I click it, it doesn't matter, it'll just jump into acro mode. And the reason why I put angle mode is if, for example, I'm going to sneeze or have a bug next to me or something, or a bee next to me, I smack it into angle mode, push the throttle, and just, you know, equalize myself, make sure I'm not going to lose the quad, and then yeah, I'm totally fine in that perspective. So beeper, I'll show you how to set that up. We'll say it's only going to be on auxiliary 3. Okay, so, and if we go down, flip after crash, this is really important. I really like this. I'm actually going to set it up on channel 5 here. Okay, so we're going to set that up there, and that means once it's activated, once you flip the switch to here, and you'll see that in a little bit, that means to activate flip after, what is it called? Flip over after crash. That's such a long name. And auxiliary 3 should be like this. This is for the beeper. We don't have a beeper, but I'll just show you anyways. And yeah, that's all we need here. So let's just go ahead and save it. All right. I'll show you. You know what? I think we should go back to the, let's go back to the transmitter now, and then we're going to go into the motors part. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, guys. So we set up auxiliary 1 as the arming switch. So let's go ahead and take a look here. I'm just going to fix the camera a little bit. There we go. So what I like to have the arming switch is this one here, right there. So how can we make this auxiliary 1? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at it. We're going to go ahead into the menu, page, and we're going to go page. We're going to go to the mixer. I think it was the mixer. Yeah, we're going to go to the mixer. And then let's go ahead and check this out. So what you have is you have channel 1 through 4. Those are the main channels, and anything after it starts counting from channel 5. So that's auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2, auxiliary 3, auxiliary 4, and Betaflight. So auxiliary 1 was set as the arm that I set inside Betaflight. So we're going to go to the source. We're going to click on it and move the switch that we want. So I wanted this back one here. And you see that? Change it to switch SF. Now I'm going to go ahead and go out. Exit. Now that's set for the arm, auxiliary 2. So auxiliary 1, sorry. Auxiliary 2 was my mode switch, and I wanted this 3-position switch. So default, it'll be angle, and then the next 2 are going to be acro because we didn't say anything for it on that one. So let's go ahead and click here. We're going to go to source, click source, and I'm just going to move it. There we go. So that's our auxiliary 2. Now auxiliary 3 that we set in Betaflight was our beeper, and I don't have a beeper on this quad. So we're going to go ahead and go, channel 7 is going to be auxiliary 3. We're going to go to source, click OK. And here's a momentary switch for the beeper. So as you can tell, it switched to SH. All right, so that's set and done. And the flip over after death, I'm going to make it this one here. So that would be auxiliary 4. There we go. We're going to go to source. Set up, done. Now we're done here. Let's go back into Betaflight, and I'm actually going to start moving these, and you can see them move in real time on Betaflight just to make sure everything is working. So let's go ahead and jump there. All right, guys. So we've gone ahead and set up the auxiliaries. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch the arm button. As you can tell, it's moving. That was channel 5 on the mixer, which is auxiliary 1. So it starts counting after channel 4. So auxiliary 2 is angle mode, was that 3-position switch that we set up, and you could see, so you could see that little dot moving right there. So this would be in angle mode, and this is acro. If you don't set any modes, then it'll automatically be in acro mode, which is no stabilized mode, if you don't know what that means. So yeah, angle mode. Horizon mode allows you to do flips, and it's kind of dangerous if you don't know what to expect from it. So just start on angle mode. Now the beeper or buzzer was that momentary switch. So as you can see, I'm holding it now, which was channel 7 on the mixer. Channel 8 was the auxiliary 4, was the flip after crash, and I think it was this one here. I actually forgot which one I made it. Oh no, it was 4. Yeah, that's why. So this is supposed to be 4. See, I messed up too. There we go. And if we move it, yeah, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so that's good. So what's so cool about flip over after crash, or flip after death, that's what I'm going to call it. What you do is after you crashed, you disarm, you go ahead, enable it, and then you arm, and then you use your roll to roll whether right or left, and it'll flip the quad over. I actually used it quite often the other day. It was really awesome. Saved me from walking. So that's nice in that perspective. All right, so now let's go to the motors. The motors are very important, and let me go ahead and start recording at the same time. So I'll need to plug in a battery. Okay, So give me a second. We'll prepare the motor so we can set up the Betaflight, the Blheli 32 configuration here. Alright guys, so first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you plug in the battery and have it be connected to the PC, and bring up the motors tab on your Betaflight screen here. So the motors tab is right there, and hopefully you guys, is it recording the mouse here? So let me just double check that real quick. Okay, there we go. That's fine. Alright, so there we go. There's the motors tab right there. And what we want to do is we want to enable this. Now make sure you don't have any props on. That's very important. Now we want to check the orientation of the motor, if it's correct or not. So we're going to go ahead and enable that. And we're just going to go ahead and just make sure all of them are spinning. So all of them are spinning. That's nice. Okay. So what I like to do is click on this once and then move up with the arrow key. So just to have it spinning slow. There we go. Okay. So you can see in this picture up here that motor 1 is supposed to be spinning that way. So let's just put my finger, and it's not. It's spinning wrong. It's spinning the wrong direction. So motor 1 is spinning the wrong direction. Motor 2 is spinning the correct direction. Motor 3 is in the correct direction. And motor 4 is in the incorrect direction. So we have to change motor 1, and we have to change up motor 1 and 4 now. So let's go ahead and disconnect here, and we're going to go ahead and open up the Blheli 32 configurator. So I'm going to go ahead and disconnect. Alright, so make sure you're disconnected first from the Betaflight configurator here. So we're going to go ahead and set this up. Now, you want to go ahead and check the interface. Usually they come default 4-way if for USB COM. You want to go to the Betaflight Clean Flight right there, just like that. And you want to go ahead and choose the correct COM port, connect. And then we're going to just wait for it a little bit. And we're going to say read setup. Beautiful. Now we said motors 1 and 4 need to be reversed. So what we want to do is you want to go ahead and not normally like click it. There we go. Oh, can you do that? Okay, well you need to disable all of them and make sure you have the one you need. So there's motor 1, and we want to go to the motor direction, and we just want to reverse it, and then we're going to go ahead and say right setup, wait for it. Okay, perfect. And now we want motor 4, which is this one. Okay, make sure it's selected, and we're going to reverse it. And then right setup. Awesome. And let's go ahead and just check something out here. I wonder if we can flash all of them together. You don't have to do this step here. Okay, apply, yes, and then I think it wrote it all. Nice. Alright, yeah. So this is just the music. This is going to be the, what is it, Game of Thrones setup here. And this is the PWM frequency I always talk about. If you could play with this, the more you increase it, the smoother the motor runs, but you get this little hiccup on the in the throttle range, and we'll get into that later on. So here we're done. We're going to go ahead and disconnect, and we're going to go ahead and connect to the Betaflight. Go ahead to the motors tab, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to enable this. Just click on the master once, and then with the arrow key on the keyboard, just keep pressing. There we go. That's pretty nice and smooth. So let's just go ahead and check motor 1. Spinning correct, as you can tell in the picture. Motor 2, spinning correct. Motor 3, spinning correct. And motor 4 is correct. So now we basically have a 100% ready quadcopter to just go ahead and put some props on and take it out for a flight. I'll be taking it out in the next couple days, and overall everything seems to work perfect now. So we'll give me a second and I'll be back, and then we'll just take one last look at the quadcopter here. Alright guys, so it is complete, and we've gone through all of the Betaflight. This is the exact same way I set up every single quadcopter, and I go about doing it. However, if you guys want also a separate video just for this, for it being easier to find, then let me know also. But overall, I do have high hopes for this, and I can't wait to go fly it. It's going to be an absolute beast of a quadcopter, as I believe. It's pretty heavy actually. We forgot to get its weight, so let's just get its weight, because that's really important for a lot of people. For me, I really don't care, to be honest. So let's go ahead and set this up. All right. 331 grams, 332 grams with the antenna here, without props or the prop nuts. So yeah, it's gonna be, it's pretty good. It's a freestyle frame. You're not gonna be racing, and this thing is gonna take a beating. It's really stiff, like really stiff. I really do like that. So that's really nice. And yeah, so that's it, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys do like this content, please consider joining my Patreon. Just $1 or $2 a month would absolutely go a long way. And you can also use it for the links down below. You don't have to purchase the same thing that's down below. If you could just click them before you make a purchase. I get a couple cents here and there, and it really does help and keeps the channel going, and allows me to bring in more components. And well, that's it, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Now we'll see you next time. Peace out, guys.